Hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so happy to be closing out this summit, and what an amazing summit it has been. I am wearing my Christmas sweater. I am in the spirit, and I am so looking forward to speaking to you about emotional resiliency, mental health in youth. So I'm going to wait a minute just to see if people pop on, and then we're going to get started. Um, I have been excited all day, and hi, Agnes. And I have put together what I think is 20 minutes of, of what I do. And I've said it before that I could talk about this for hours and hours and hours. But I've limited myself to 20 minutes as I was instructed. So I will give you the lowdown on how I work with kids and what is needed right now out there for them. So, Merry Christmas to you too, Agnes. It's hard to believe Christmas is a week away. Christmas Eve is a week away tonight. Ugh, I know, scary. So, um, I guess I'll start and hope more people pop on. But I'm going to start with my story. I am a former teacher. I was a teacher for over 15 years, working in various schools. And I've taught everything from junior kindergarten to grade 8. And I got to really see what was needed out there. And it was an eye opening experience for me. I loved every minute of it. I've always worked with kids, and I know that that has always been my calling. I'm a professionally trained actor, believe it or not. And I always had this push and this drive to do both. And so I have. And how I came about doing what I'm doing now, which is working in emotional resiliency with kids, is because I saw a need out there in my classrooms. And it didn't matter if I was working in lower income areas where there were schools, or if I was working in a private school. So socioeconomics really has nothing to do with what kids are going through today. A lot of it is very much the same, despite how much money their parents might bring in and what they have. This has everything to do with what they're missing or what they're lacking emotionally. So my own story is I left teaching 5 years ago. I had a breakdown because I had suffered multiple traumas back to back. But the last one that kind of broke the camel's back, the straw that broke the camel's back, was an incident with the owner of a school I was teaching at, and it left me in a place where I didn't think I could go back to the classroom. But I knew I wanted to have an impact on kids, and it really made me see things in a different way. So I come I come looking at all these traumas from a place of gratitude because it was really a gift. And at the time it didn't feel like it, but and I'm gonna tout Waleska, who was really key in helping me shift that mindset to gratitude, where I really saw the traumas for the gift that they were. And what it did is it helped me see that our school systems are it's an antiquated system, and I really wasn't able to do or have the impact that I really wanted to, and it has led me here now. So I never did return to the classroom, and I'm okay with that because I can have a bigger impact now with kids and what I do with them. So what I was recognizing and how I got started in creating the program that I did was 15 years ago. I was a new teacher, bright eyed, bushy tailed, and I was recognizing across the board that my students really had no drive. And I would ask them, what do you want to be when you grow up? And their answer was always, I don't know. And if you're a parent, you know that answer. I don't know. that's mumbled with a shoulder shrug. Oh. And when I asked more questions, I got to know that these kids really didn't have a drive to do anything. And when I dug a little deeper, I found out it's because they didn't feel they deserved it. They didn't feel like there were opportunities for them. They didn't feel like people believed in them enough to be able to do anything. And I thought, no, this isn't going to work for me. And I recognized that there was no learning happening. And what I needed to do was I needed to help shift their mindset, and I needed them to look at life a little differently. And so it was in building this together with them and helping them realize that they have a lot of value and that they have a lot to give to the world. And this is where my journey really started, and it has evolved. But it took me having the breakdown I had to really understand mental illness. I was diagnosed with PTSD and anxiety, and it took me understanding that and having lost my brother to suicide to really understand the mentality of what's going on in kids today. And it's something that I am hugely passionate about, especially when we talk about suicide prevention. Not just because of my own experience with it, but I have had kind of a double edged sword. I've had the pleasure and the disappointment of having to talk to families who have lost children to suicide. And it's not a fun conversation to have, nor is it anything I ever wish any family would ever have to deal with. And it is also what drives me in what I do. And that's to make sure that kids are emotionally resilient to handle anything that life throws at them. And let's face it, there's a lot that gets thrown at them. I say every day to my students, my clients, I do not wish to repeat being a kid, not in today's times. There's a lot of pressure on them. There's a lot of social anxiety. There's a lot of huge expectations, but they're not given the chance, the resources, or the know-how to live up to those expectations. So part of what I was recognizing is that as adults, we are giving them mixed messages. Excuse me. And think about it in classrooms or, in bedrooms of these kids, they see these posters that say, you can do anything, you can be anything, the world is your oyster. Then the minute they express what it is that they desire, what they'd like to do, we jump all over it. I want to be an astronaut. Well, you can't be an astronaut. Do you know what the chances are? You've got like a 1 in 10,000 chance of ever going up into space. So what's the point in putting in that much time? And all of a sudden we start squishing down this dream of theirs without even giving them the opportunity to try and to pursue. And we all know that it is in us pursuing something that either we achieve those goals or we recognize that we needed to go down that path to veer and see what else life was offering us. But we stop kids dead in their tracks. And so they don't dream anymore. They don't aspire to be more, to do more, to create more. And I worry about our future and what will happen if we don't start planting these seeds and fostering kids to grow into these leaders that we need them to be. So oftentimes when I'm talking to parents and I'm talking to teachers, I often say if we need to think of this in a selfish way, we're getting older. And as we age, those kids are coming up and they will be taking the place of our leaders. They will be in the place of needing to take care of us. And I don't know about you, I want to make sure that they're well equipped to be able to give me the life that I feel I deserve and need when I'm older and need somebody to help take care of me. So we also want to foster these kids growing up to be these strong, independent, connected leaders that we so desperately need and that we are so desperately lacking right now. And we are seeing this in the world today. So, my goal is to help raise these kids up to recognize their potential, their abilities. And it's nothing to do with intelligence. It has nothing to do with academics. And I'm not saying that school's not important, but there are things that we need to have in place for kids so that they are emotionally and mentally strong to go out into the world, secure enough in themselves that they can come from a place of understanding, compassion, empathy, and love. That is the message that we need to raise our kids to learn. Is that sure, you can be great in math, but how are you going to serve your community today? How are you going to make a difference in somebody else's life? And how are you going to foster and build yourself up to have dreams, to pursue those dreams, to have a fire lit deep inside that makes you passionate about something? And this is where I think we there's a disconnect happening in our education systems, especially here in North America. And I mean, if there's something that I wish I could do, it would be to change the education system. It's this antiquated old version of something that no longer works, especially as we pile, 30 plus kids in a classroom that all have varying learning styles, that all have varying interests, with one teacher who's trying to keep chaos at a minimum. Are we effectively giving them the resources that they need to learn, to grow, and to expand their mind, their dreams, their desires, that and move forward in a passionate way of living? We know that when we are ignited and we are passionate, we go out into the world and we make change happen. Well, we need to give kids the tools to know how to do that. And I wish that there was someone like me when I was younger that would have helped foster that. And adults that I've talked to have all said the same. So let's create that now for kids. Now that we are more enlightened and we are more in touch and in tune with our universe, let's give kids the resources and the support and the love and the know how to move forward and make an impact in the world. So, my goal, always first and foremost, is for kids to succeed and in whatever it is that they do. And that was my goal as a teacher. That is my goal as a human, is I want our youth to feel like the world is their oyster. Like there's an abundance of anything that they could ever want out there for them. They just have to know how to work and manifest and achieve and go out there and do it. So these are the skills that I try to impart on my students because I want them to reach and become the best version of themselves that they can so that they can have the most fulfilling life and not wait until my age when, the universe basically had to hit me over the head with a 2x4 to get me to see that there was more in life for me. And that what is really important is what's in my heart, what lights me up, what makes me passionate, and how I can effectively help others and change lives. I want kids to recognize that they have that potential now and that we can foster them into becoming leaders and becoming those kids that help kids. When we can give them the resources and the help that they need to be able to go out there and help others in their same age group, then we are creating an army of strength, an army of compassion and love that they're gonna go out there and make a difference in the world. And that's what I want more than anything else. And I truly believe that that's what parents want for their kids. We just need to know how to foster that, and we need to know how to give it. We need to equip our teachers with the resources of how to deal with mental illness, because it's not a matter of if it happens in their classrooms, if it happens with our youth. It's a matter of when. And nobody likes to talk about this when we talk about mental health, mental illness. Nobody likes to talk about the statistics. Nobody likes to have a conversation. We should be able to talk about mental health, mental illness, the same way we talk about physical health or physical illness. And yet it's still these taboo words that we don't like to speak. It's almost like Voldemort from Harry Potter. It's that shall not be named. We shall not talk about suicide. No. Right? Because that's going to give them ideas. Unfortunately, that's not what is going to give a kid the idea to take their own life. Or that's not what's going to help the kid that is dealing with anxiety and depression. That's already going to happen, and we have to face the facts that we need to do what we can to make sure that they are equipped to handle should those things arise. So let's equip our teachers with being able to manage and maneuver in those instances where that arises in their classroom. Let's teach kids to be more compassionate when there may be kids who are struggling. And let's make kids own and be responsible for the things they say and do. Because if somebody is going to be a jerk to somebody else and tell them that they should kill themselves, and I say this because these are actual incidents that have happened, they need to take responsibility for those words, those actions, especially if that kid does go and take their life. These are things we don't want to talk about, but when you have talked to as many parents as I have who have lost their kids to suicide, the numbers are staggering, and we need to make a difference. We need to step up, and we need to start getting things in place now. Suicide is one of the leading causes of death in people under the age of 25. I have talked to parents whose kids as young as 8 and 9 years old have taken their own life. That's not acceptable to me. That is never an option. And when I talk to parents about what I do and about building confidence and mindset and mindfulness, and parents say to me, oh, my kid doesn't need that. Having been a teacher in the schools for as long as I was, I can tell you 100% of kids need this kind of work. They need the skills to be emotionally resilient to whatever may come down the pipeline in their life. There will always be adversity, but parents won't always be there to bail them out, to help them out, to fix a situation. And we need to equip kids with the ability to handle those situations should they arise. So this is why I do what I do, because I don't ever want to have to talk to any more parents about burying their child. And those parents have told me that they were the parents that said, oh, my kid doesn't need that kind of help. My kid doesn't need that kind of program because, or not because, they were that parent until it was too late. Because it's not the kid in the corner who looks depressed or looks like they have problems that is always going to be the one that we need to worry about. 99% of the time, or at least the parents I have spoken to, and I've spoken to hundreds and hundreds of them, their kid was the popular kid, the one who did well in school, the one who had lots of friends, the one who had everything going for them. And those parents had to say goodbye too early. Every 40 seconds, someone takes their life in the world. That's mind blowing. Every 40 seconds. We need to change that number. I mean, ideally, I would like that number to be zero. So I do what I do because no matter what happens in a kid's life, I never want suicide to be an option for them. I want to give them a toolbox of skills that they can carry around with them, that no matter what life throws at them, they are capable of handling, they are capable of dealing with. So, as you can see, I could go on, but I have to wrap this up. If any parent out there is wanting to join me, I have a Facebook group. I've created the village. It takes a village to raise a child. So I created the village so that we can all work together at helping our kids become strong and resilient and compassionate human beings. So join me in the Facebook group. I've put the link in the post. It's Parenting Influential Leaders of Tomorrow. And if you're interested, shoot me a message and I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm helping parents and teens right now, doing a workshop with them to help communication, because I know that communication for teenagers usually is a bunch of yelling, screaming, whining, stomping their feet, wanting what they want, and expecting their parents to give it to them. And I am training them how to use their voice to get what they want. But parents, I'm always on your side. And I'm here to tell your kids what you would want to tell them, but they're not going to listen to you. So the workshop that I'm doing is for parents and teens together to learn how to bridge that gap, to communicate better. And of course, I have the Emotional Resiliency Mastery Program, which is a 3-month program, and I work with kids on all the skills to build a toolbox of what they need to get them through life. So thank you for being here and listening. Thank you for participating in this summit. Thank you, Agnes, for putting this together. It has been wonderful to see so many amazing women come on here and show their passion and share their knowledge with us. And we need to remember to do more of this. When women push women up, when we raise each other up and we celebrate each other, we can change the world. We will change the world. So thank you for being here with me today. And I look forward to a bright future for all of us.